Good morning, everybody. Chris here again. Christopher Goes Outdoors, and we're here outdoors, of course, with the one, the only, Big Mama.
Hi.
Big Mama's here to answer your questions about the Appalachian Trail. We have a lot of questions. It's like 10 pages of these questions. Some of them are fairly similar. We'll try to join them up. We'll just start firing them off. So here we go. Question: if I wanted to do just a 100-mile section of the trail, where would you pick and why? Because I know where this gentleman who asked this question lived, I would 100% recommend the White Mountains. Do the entire White Mountain part of the Appalachian Trail. You will not regret it. It's beautiful views, super challenging, but 100% worth it. If you were bringing the children with you, I would probably do the 100-mile wilderness in Maine. Nice views, some nice flat terrain, you got lakes, you got ponds, all sorts of stuff that you can enjoy.
I was gonna say the Whites, but I'll say something different.
All right.
The stretch of Virginia that's Tinker Cliffs, McAfee Knob, Dragon's Tooth, that compared to the Whites, that was like my second top favorite, so.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. If I was staying somewhere outside of the New England area, that's exactly where I would go as well. Also, the top 5 most important items to bring. I would bring a tent, gotta have shelter out there, a nice sleeping bag, food and water I'll put into one because that's super crucial. You need a good backpack because you need to remain comfortable out there and carrying a big heavy load or big whatever load. You need it to sit well on you. So make sure you got a nice backpack and then toilet paper. Some people will use leaves. I'm not about that life. I would definitely bring toilet paper. I think it's extremely crucial.
Okay, I say good shoes, good socks, a warm sleeping bag, chocolate, and a water filter.
Why chocolate though?
Because that's the most important food item.
All right. Gets you through the bad times.
Gets you through the bad times.
But on the shoe thing too, the shoes and socks, that's very crucial too. I would say that arguably maybe more important than anything I listed.
Yeah, because you're not going anywhere unless you got those.
Yeah, if your feet are hurting, you're not gonna make it very far. Or if you do, it's not gonna be fun. That's nice. Good five. Next question. Can you review the cameras and other audio and video equipment you use to record the journey? Also, how many bags of Cheetos did you eat? The camera reviews, I will actually do a complete video of that. Just a brief whatever for the beginning. I was using the Sony RX100 Mark III. Great camera, it's extremely small. I'll try to pop a little picture of it or video of it on here somewhere. The issues I had with that camera were 100% my doing. The screen stopped working, then the viewfinder kind of stopped working, then I popped the battery door. I had a lot of issues with it, but I used that thing hard. Once it started going through the rough times, I figured it's time to switch it out, and I especially wanted better audio for the Whites. I know how windy it is on most of those mountains up there, so I picked up the Panasonic G7, and I used that for the remainder of the trail, along with the external microphone, the Rode VideoMic Go. So I had a little big old fluffy microphone on top of the camera. I'm actually using it to record this video right now. Those were the 2 cameras I used to record the journey. I recommend both. The RX100 was awesome. It's a great camera, super portable, great pictures and video from it. And the Panasonic G7 was great too. I actually dropped it on the nice edge of Mount Katahdin and it's still functioning completely fine. The Panasonic's pretty lightweight as well for the size. The Sony, of course, is lighter because it's smaller. How many bags of Cheetos did I eat? My answer to that, not enough.
And he didn't share any, ever.
That's true. I don't think I let anybody touch them ever, throughout the entire thing.
But he got like 5 other people to start resupplying with them too.
Yeah.
Everybody was craving Cheetos.
Yeah, I would go to the last 2 stores I went to on the trail, there were no Cheetos left. And I like to think, because every other chip was in that building, I could find every single other one. I like to think that I'm the reason that there were no Cheetos left. So maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Next question. What inspired you to do this? Did you ever want to give up?
So I'm from Maine, and I did a section of the trail probably like 5 or 6 years ago with my older brother, my best friend, and her older brother. And we were horribly unprepared. It was a 100-mile wilderness. We had cotton shirts on, cans of food, school backpacks. It was just like miserable. And I came home pretty traumatized, but then the next day I was like, you know, I'm gonna go hike the entire Appalachian Trail. And then after school and working a little bit and I saved up the money, I just decided to actually follow through and do it.
Mine's a little bit more what's what I'm looking for? Morbid, I suppose. I just know a lot of people who have died really, really young. And I was like, well, this is stupid. I don't want to just sit here, waste life away working in some job I hate. So I ended up going back to school, getting a new degree, found a job that I actually enjoy very, very much so. A job that let me take 6 months off to go hike the trail. It all just kind of came through. I really enjoy hiking, and I met a bunch of people in the Whites in New Hampshire who do the Appalachian Trail. I would say to them, I want to do it. And one guy finally was like, all right, dude, go do it. And he's right. Life's too short. I wanted to do fun stuff. I wanted to do cool, memorable things. I had the money, had the time, and had the desire. So I just said, I'm going. And saved up the money, and it was 100% worth it. So do not regret anything.
And did you ever want to give up? I feel like I way more than Chris wanted to give up at many points during the trail, but I knew I was never going to. You know, I never actually sat down and debated going home, but there's definitely some low points that I was like, dang, this is really hard. And I struggled mentally and physically. So in those moments, I kind of thought I wanted to give up. I thought how nice it would be to just be home, doing things that were easier and more comfortable. But I never, actually weighed the pros and cons of like, all right, if I get a flight home tomorrow, end my journey early. So.
Yeah, same. Near the beginning, a little bit more. I got hit with noro right at the beginning of the trail, like 4 days in, and there were just so many people around. I started on a really stupid date. We'll probably go into that more because I think that's another question further on, but there were just so many people out there, and it was clearly like the party kind of people who were just out there to rage and hang out, and they weren't there, I think, for the actual hiking aspect. I feel like they were there for the more party aspect. Yeah, I just didn't know if it was exactly what I wanted to be doing out there, but that changed like within an hour once I started feeling better. So yeah, I at no point really other than that, like, yeah, you miss some of the comforts at home and stuff. Never felt like I wanted to actually leave, give up. So.
Yeah.
Did you miss your sister terribly? Yes, I was dying inside, actually. Deep down inside. Did you miss your siblings?
I have two sisters and 2 brothers, but I missed all of them. Yeah, I did.
Now, would you do it again? I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. Yes, 100 times over, yes. In all honesty, if I had the money when I got north, I would have just walked right back down south and done it all over again right then and there.
I wouldn't have done it right after like he would have, but I think in a few years, I could definitely be convinced to do it again, but I'd want to make it a little bit different, just in the sense of like, either doing it southbound or kind of having something like unique about it so that I wasn't repeating the same exact hike again.
How did you adjust to your hiking diet? Did you notice a difference in your bathroom habits? I adjusted fine. Before I left for the trail, I started eating like a savage, just trying to put weight on, and I did put weight on. So.
Yeah, but you didn't have your appetite the first week.
Now, with that said, I was eating a ton at home, but the first week or so out on the trail, like, I wasn't very hungry, or first couple weeks, I wasn't very hungry. Like, I carried a bunch of food, but I was very limited as far as to what I was eating. But after that, maybe another week after that, the hunger started to kick in. But I never feel like I got the actual, what they refer to as hiker hunger, where like you can just eat and eat like all the time. Like, I really don't. Like, don't get me wrong, like I could eat, but I feel like it was no different than when I was at home before. So yeah. I don't know, but yeah, adjusted pretty well.
I adjusted fine.
And the bathroom habits, steady and ready.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah, pretty consistent. I
feel like that was a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like eating the trail food and stuff like that. I know a lot of people that kind of had like upset stomachs, and it took them a while, and I never really experienced that. And same thing, they'd go in town and eat real food, and then that would kind of disrupt them because they were so used to the trail food. But I guess I have like an iron stomach because I just felt pretty good the whole time.
Yeah. Besides the bout with noro in the beginning, I never had any sort of real issue, I guess.
Talking really in depth about it.
Yeah, we're talking about the bathroom habits of the trail. People need to know these things. It's need to know information.
It is.
Next question, can you guys talk about the emotional, mental journey and struggle throughout the hike?
Dealing with storms, going from being a group to solo hiking, dealing with hard days and pushing through, and then what things helped you guys get through the tough parts? So I
All
feel
you.
like this is my fourth
Yeah,
day.
I feel like this is all you.
Yeah, Chris is definitely the more like positive one of the two. Emotional and mental journey. Yeah, that was like a huge part of it. So the first part, it says storms. That was actually, people would ask me for the first like 3/4 of the hike, what's the hardest part? And I was like, the days that it rains. Because there was a stretch in Virginia where it literally rained 4 or 5 days back to back at 24 hours of the day. So it's like you'd wake up, you're breaking down a wet tent, you're walking in wet shoes all day, and then at night you're setting up your tent again in the rain. And it was just like at no point, nothing was dry. And that was just pretty miserable, mentally, and that was kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But definitely like hiking with people and kind of commiserating together, I guess. And then solo hiking, for me, that actually was really hard on me mentally too, because I started with my best friend and then I hiked in a group. I met Chris in the beginning, and then as we went along, we kind of all got spread out. When I got back on trail after being off for a while, I was completely alone. And I was like, oh, I can do this, I don't mind being alone. But I was kind of behind the bubble of people at that point. So I would get on trail, at 6:30 in the morning, and there were days where I didn't see another face until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So after doing that like 4 or 5, 6 days in a row, it kind of started to eat away at me that I was just like so isolated. So, and he might answer that differently because I think you like being alone more than I do. But yeah, that for me, the storms and hiking alone, that you pretty much nailed it by asking that. And I guess just to push through, it's just, having a friend to talk to about it. And then as far as like another hard thing was just kind of like the monotony and boredom of every day hiking for 12 hours for 6 months. So I kind of helped that by doing either like audiobooks or podcasts. And I wouldn't do it all the time, but just like a little bit to break it up, kind of entertain myself, I guess.
Yeah, I think you hit on it all pretty good. You could definitely rely on the people you're around too. The thing, like, if you're or having a bad day or whatever, as long as you're passing people on the trail and stuff too, like a lot of times everybody else is having that bad day as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just you. I feel like there's a sort of camaraderie in the misery, I guess you could say. Hiking with people, especially people that you don't dislike, it's always
can tolerate.
Yeah, it's always a plus. It's the group mind, if someone's feeling down, the rest of you bring them up. The rest of you get them going. Mental aspect, I genuinely, besides the beginning with the Noro thing, like I feel like I was fine the whole time. We hiked with the group in the beginning, and I hiked solo after that for mostly solo for about a month and a half. I mean, you see people at the end of the day, but wasn't whatever. And then ran into her again in Vermont, and we hiked the rest. But I don't really feel like at any time I felt struggling for it. Like, it's something I just wanted to do, and I just like go. Like, you experience a bad thing, it's all part of the journey. I don't know. I hope that helped to answer your question.
Yeah, I feel like you're like the exception, because
yeah,
I just talked to a lot of people and myself that the mental part was just like so excruciatingly just hard and tough. I definitely wasn't the one that felt it the most extreme. We talked to some people that was like every day they were like, man, this is miserable. And I didn't feel like that, but some days were so hard, and I just think it was just cool because no one, when you're kind of being like negative and you can tell people are kind of rolling their eyes at you, on the trail it wasn't like that. It was like people really wanted you to feel all right, feel good, help you out. So there would be days when I would, be walking down the trail like crying, and people were always, asking, you okay, what can I do? What can I help with? And so, I don't know. Chris is a really positive person.
Yeah. Most of the time.
But I feel like that will come up again, like the emotional mental part, because that is so huge, and I feel like not a lot of people really address it, and there's not really a lot out there about it, because when you're getting ready for your hike, you're thinking about the gear and the logistics. No one's really talking about, the mental preparation. I don't know if you can prepare mentally for it, but
yeah, it's probably harder to prepare mentally than it would be physically. We can talk about that more, but mental preparation, if you can, is huge. It's definitely a big one. But I hope that answered your question. I feel like we babbled pretty long about it, so